It is my distinct pleasure to really kick off episode 9, where we get to present the Newsweek Award winners. And to help us do that, I get to introduce the CEO of Newsweek, Dev Pragad.
Thank you, Ellen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you this evening on behalf of Newsweek. Newsweek will soon be 87 years old. It's a storied, iconic brand that's covered some of the world's leading news and events over 9 decades. All of us representing Newsweek here are incredibly proud of that heritage. And yet today, we are here because Newsweek had to successfully embrace technology and the disruption it brings. Newsweek was predominantly a print magazine. With the relentless rise of digital, Newsweek had to adapt or die. Newsweek rose to the challenge successfully, and today we boast over 55 million readers on a monthly basis across all digital platforms, reaching arguably more eyeballs than Newsweek ever did in its long and cherished history. Keeping up with this pioneering and innovative spirit, we have given ourselves a new mission. We call it Newsweek Next. Society needs good journalism, not just to make sense of the present, but to provide a thoughtful and carefully curated view of the dramatic changes brought by technology. This evening's recognition of the Momentum Awards is an example of how Newsweek plans to fulfill that mission. Each of our winners has, in the view of our editorial team and our distinguished experts of our council, used technology and ideas of tomorrow to solve problems that seem intractable today. Tonight, we recognize remarkable leaders who are propelling the world towards an environmentally sustainable, socially equitable, and economically viable future. The impact of their work will make headlines tomorrow. That's why we want to tell their stories today. This evening would not have been possible without the generous support of our friends at Georgia Tech, especially Deborah Lamb, Director of Smart Inclusive Innovation Initiative, and Professor Ellen Durham-Jones, Director of MS in Urban Design. We are also deeply grateful to the members of the Newsweek Momentum Awards Council, some of whom are here today. Thank you for your time and counsel. And finally, thanks to every one of you who are here to represent, support, and learn from our honorees. Tonight is their night. And to introduce them now, I invite Nancy Cooper, Newsweek's Global Editor-in-Chief.
Thank you, Dev. I'm very pleased to be here back at Georgia Tech, and again, thank you, Ellen and Deborah and all our friends at Georgia Tech who've been part of this ongoing, as Dev said, curated view of the future that we call Newsweek Next. So next month we'll have a city on the cover of Newsweek, and it'll be called the World's Smartest City. And some experts are going to say, what was Newsweek thinking? There are, after all, many cities that employ technology more extensively and more effectively to deliver the best possible services to their cities, to their citizens. Are these cities smarter? But when our Council of Industry Experts and Newsweek editors convened over the summer, we grappled with this problem. Many of the cities on our list of nominees had made huge progress in designing the urban environment of the future. Many of them were first-world cities with first-world budgets and resources tackling first-world problems. But the Council felt strongly that our measure of achievement should be adjusted for degree of difficulty. The urban problems of the developing world are on a different order of magnitude. For example, one of our contenders, that we'll be calling the City of Tomorrow, was building an entire ecosystem to help disabled people commute. That wouldn't sound like a technological innovation in 21st century New York or Oslo. But in Freetown, Sierra Leone, where tens of thousands of people have had limbs cut off in a brutal voter suppression drive during the Civil War, that's transformative. And that's why Newsweek will feature Freetown as a city to watch in our awards issue next month. Our smartest city has already undergone an impressive transformation. A couple of decades ago, it was considered the most dangerous city in the world. Since then, city leaders have embraced technology and responsive governments through a series of projects including smart electrical grids, smart meters throughout the city, free internet for more than 340,000 citizens, and free workshops in low-income communities to improve digital literacy. This transformation, in incredibly trying circumstances, is why the Council decided to name Medellin, Colombia, as the smartest city in the world. And I want to welcome, thank you. I want to welcome the Deputy Consul of Colombia, Juan Tellez, to accept our award.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Georgia Tech. Thank you, Newsweek, for having me and for this incredible honor for our city of Medellin. I want to send a special greeting from the Mayor of Medellin, Federico Gutierrez, and the Agency of Cooperation and Investment of Medellin. We heard about this news a couple of days ago, and I feel really humbled to receive this award on behalf of the city. Especially, well, I'm not from there, I'm from Bogota, but I've had the opportunity to go to Medellin ever since I was little. And every time I went to Medellin, I saw something changing, I saw something cooler, and I definitely at some point was thinking to move there. So I was, now I'm feeling really happy to be here and receive this award. This is exciting because for people in Colombia, Medellin is a success story and an example of what we can do together and what we're capable of doing, and that message is even more important, especially now, when we are in a moment in our country of reconciliation and trying to overcome our difficult past. Medellin is the second most populous city in Colombia, and as we heard before, it had the title of the most violent city in the world. Over 2 decades ago, Medellin began a long process of urban but mostly citizen transformation. It's the people of Medellin who really took good care of their city and tried to change not only by the different structures or new architecture in the city, but also with their attitude towards it. Recently, the city has been also selected as one of the centers for the fourth industrial revolution by the World Economic Forum. All of this has been possible thanks to many factors, but among them, we have a dynamic innovation system. 1 of every 3 jobs in the city is generated by science, technology, and innovation activities. Also, the city invests more than 2% of its GDP to science and technology. The second factor are strong institutions. The effort of changing Medellin has been a continued effort of many administrations with coordination of regional and national governments. This has changed the city through a significant steps such as the investment in public spaces, public transportation, and investment in civic culture. Also, the city has spaces such as the university, public and private sector board, and the public conglomerate of the Medellin's mayor's office to discuss I&D policies to improve competitivity. The third factor is, of course, the people. Medellin has the 3rd most qualified workforce in South America. The greatest number of professionals in Medellin corresponds to systems engineering and telematics careers, and 9 out of 100 graduates of the region of Antioquia corresponds to careers related to Industry 4.0. We still have many challenges for the future. Fight against poverty, inequality, climate change, among others. But we believe that all these efforts are the seeds to create solutions for a better tomorrow for the citizens of the city, and that motivates us not only to do better in Medellin, but in all Colombia. Thank you.
it is my pleasure to just close out, to give my great thanks to Newsweek. This, I think, was just a fantastic evening. I'm delighted that we got to see so many different kinds of work that I think are advancing incredibly the way that we're going. And I want to thank Deborah Lamb, who really had so much more to do with this than what anyone, than the presence she did not have on stage. So thank you.